to Cooking Live. Today we have a special guest, Miss Leah Brooks.
Hi, thanks.
You are our newest member of the lifestyle team.
I
Yes?
am, yes.
Well, welcome
Thank
to
you. Thanks for
Weight
having
Loss
me.
and Wellness Center and also to Cooking Live.
Thanks.
We're talking budget bites today, right?
Yes, we are.
All right. By the time we're done with this video, Leah and I will have made ourselves some lunch that is both budget friendly, nutritious, and delicious. And so I'm going to get the pan heated up here.
Sounds good.
All right. Because part of cooking is having a hot pan.
That is a really important part of cooking. Heat.
Yes. So I bet that you get asked a lot about how do we do this all in a budget-friendly way.
Yes, I get asked a lot about time, money, and healthy food. Making that trifecta work for a busy family is a really big challenge a lot of families have.
Well, so what are we going to cook today?
We are going to cook a simple, healthy meal of chicken, potatoes, green beans. That fits our healthy balanced plate that we like to talk about at the Weight Loss and Wellness Center, and comes together quickly and affordably for any busy weeknight for any family.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll have you get opening the green beans. I need to get a bowl for the green beans.
We can do it.
So what do you think are people's biggest struggle when it comes to doing healthy things on a budget?
Well, I think there is a lot of, I think healthy food can feel expensive. I think there are a lot of factors that go into that. I think perishability is one of them. I did my favorite trick, which is dumping the lid of the can into the bowl. So we're keeping it real here on Cooking Live.
It is real. Yeah.
This is my favorite trick. At home, I may not be as fancy with the fork. I'll just reach in and get it. We're on Cooking Live. So
We're all friends.
We're all
Facebook
friends.
friends.
We're all Facebook friends here.
Well, while she's fishing out the lid, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I'm doing.
Sure.
So if you've been with us on Cooking Live before, you know that I love me some instant mashed potatoes. They are particularly budget friendly, I find, and easier to make in smaller quantities.
Yes.
It's would it be cheaper to make mashed potatoes from regular potatoes? Yes, but I'm not going to be able to make a small batch, and my time is also a resource.
Right.
So is that something that you find people kind of push back when you're talking about
Right.
doing food on a budget? Are people saying like,
Yes.
yeah, but?
Yeah, if I say let's say you come to me and say, I'm looking for a healthy, fast meal, and my son or daughter really likes mashed potatoes and chicken and green beans, I don't have time to peel the potatoes, dice it up, boil it. That's really difficult to do 5:36 when you're getting home from work. Cost per pound, those, looking at it penny for penny, it comes out cheaper to get your raw potatoes and do that. It does not keep well if you do it ahead of time. So sometimes it's worth it to save some time, spend a few extra pennies, or spend that extra money to do the shortcut, do the box, and get your balance.
Well, and I think that time is money.
I think so too.
Especially whenever we're trying to work with those evenings.
Time? Microwave?
Yes, we are keeping it real. We are canned green beans. And that's a point that I would like to make. Just because your vegetables come in a can does not necessarily mean they're unhealthy.
100%.
Do you know what's really unhealthy? Not having any vegetables.
Right.
So if the point is I can either have vegetables and they'll be canned, or frozen, or fresh, or I cannot have vegetables, I'm going to pick the one that is going to fit into my budget of time. That was super simple. You open the can of green beans, threw it in a bowl, we're microwaving it. It's 69 cents a can versus I just went to the grocery store and the fresh green beans were more like $3.69 for a pound.
Absolutely.
Now I could get several meals out of that pound, but it would take me longer and I'd have to know what to do with them. Because the whole point of us doing these Cooking Live videos is to try to get some of these skills back into your kitchens, into your homes, because that's all part of making this work.
Absolutely.
I think it's really difficult to eat on a budget when you're going out to eat. What do people say?
Well, I think the day-to-day, a lot of families tend to rely on the takeout because it saves time and it's affordable, it's quick, it is convenient. Many have drive-up options and take only a few minutes to complete. That checks off a lot of items on the list.
Something I hear is people saying, well, I'm going to go on the dollar menu.
Right, right. For the day, in that moment, you might spend $3 per person. Drink, side,
Yeah.
entree. One person, $2 to $3.
So then a family of 3 or 4, and you're already over $10.
Right there, absolutely.
Which I did the tally of all the ingredients that we're using today. With our can of green beans was 69 cents. Our boneless skinless chicken breast was $18 for a 10-pound bag, and I put 3/4 of a pound in the pan for Leah and I.
Yeah.
And so that was less than $2 there. And then my instant mashed potatoes was $3 to $4 for the box, but I'm only using a ninth of the box. And so per serving, we're ending up at $1.30.
Yeah, so
I was really proud of that because it's less than a big chicken.
Absolutely.
Less than a big chicken.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes it's hard to get out of that pattern of day to day. Getting to the point where you feel like you can set aside the time to plan out your week, do the budgeting, and do the grocery shopping in one day, and get it all laid out. And that's the big barrier, I think, is for families, is doing the planning ahead. And having that recipe set in your arsenal. I think that's the big barrier, is feeling confident enough in the kitchen that you can whip something up. That's a big life skill that people can come to.
Whipping something up doesn't just happen. Like, so how do you suggest people build confidence and skills?
Good question. A lot of it is practice. Just like you would find an exercise routine and kind of practice that until it becomes your routine. Or a new set of snacks or meal routine. You would want to practice your cooking skills. One thing I like to do is practice new recipes on the weekend in the afternoon. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah, so that way you're not trying a new recipe Wednesday night. Everybody's starving and kind of tired from the workday.
Oh, man.
For dinner.
I know my family hates it whenever I do a new recipe for dinner because it means dinner's going to be like 45 minutes
Right,
late.
you're like, hang on, I promise it's going to be good.
It'll be delicious.
My favorite phrase is like, sorry, dinner's going to be a little later than usual. I like to practice on the weekend, and then you practice it, and you have leftovers of all the ingredients that you purchased to try again later in the week.
When you've already done it, and so now it's faster.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great tip because you know how it is. You try a new recipe, you gotta buy an ingredient, and then it's like, well, what if I have all this left over? You make it again. Like, that's the point.
Right.
Just to catch us all up on what dinner is happening, the chicken is almost done. One thing I want to point out is that I'm using my biggest skillet for 3 small-ish chicken breasts. And the reason I'm doing that is because no one likes ugly chicken. And so if you use a pan that's too small, you end up, all the juices in the chicken actually get in there and you end up like boiling, steaming, instead of actually getting that nice sear on the edge of the chicken. I also put the chicken smooth side down.
Okay.
The prettiest side is going to be the side you put down first. Because when you flip it over, you're going to have some gunk in the bottom of the pan and it's going to get on there.
Okay.
So one thing that I find really helps make things more palatable is if your food is attractive. And so that's one way you can just kind of take something that's plain Jane, not really super exciting, sauteed chicken, but make it just a little bit more appetizing. That's the word I'm looking for. And so I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. Don't crowd your pan. It won't turn out well, and it's actually going to take longer to cook.
That is something I've been doing wrong. I have ugly chicken at home.
I love chicken at home.
And now I know how to have attractive chicken.
Leah, your chicken's beautiful.
It is healthy.
The other thing is our green beans are hot. Good. They're just fresh out of the can. I don't use no salt added in my house because my family does not prefer it. In the grand scheme of things, if you wanted to rinse it, you certainly could. But really, this meal is not super high in salt. It's certainly less than the dollar menu.
Great.
But I did have some onion powder here. How do you feel about onion?
I love onion.
Why don't you sprinkle a little bit on there? The shaker side is there. And I got some. Yeah, me too. Some fresh cracked pepper there, just to season that up. The other thing is our chicken. Yes, is well done. I want to show you all my pretty chicken. I got the thing here.
That came together so fast.
It really did. This is a granite countertop, so I can just set my pan right on there. You don't need a trivet, but I want to let you know it's hot. Careful.
Okay, got it.
All right. I need to wait for my liquids to come to a full boil before stirring in my potato flakes. They're this close.
Okay.
So do you have, what else would you like people to know about cooking on a budget?
Cooking on a budget. Well, I've been doing it I've been thinking about it for a long time, you know, and I think that for any family, no matter what your income or family size, and I've been working with families for quite some time. I've been a clinical social worker for about 5 years, but working in behavioral services and behavioral specialty for about 10 years. So no matter what your income or family size, the bottom line is always time and money. And so no matter what, people are usually thinking about how to make the most of both. And really it does come down to what works for your family. Does a set menu work? Does it work to have Taco Tuesday, Spaghetti Wednesday? Does that work? Does that help the budget? Does that help you keep
So eating well on a budget looks different for different families.
It sure does, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, what does your family like, and what does your family prioritize? It's about sitting down and figuring out.
I love that. What does your family prioritize? Because one question I get asked a lot is how much should I spend on food? And my kind of canned answer has always been, well, that depends. What are you aiming for? I think people get kind of hung up because they think if they could go lower, they're not doing a good enough job. Like, I'm just throwing some numbers out there. If I spend $500 a month on groceries and my neighbor is spending $200 a month, if I then move my grocery budget down to $350 a month, I've failed in some way because someone down the street can do it for less.
Right.
But depending on what kinds of things your family prefers eating,
Right.
I work with lots of people who choose to buy organic.
Right.
We just have to accept that that's going to be more expensive.
Right, absolutely.
And so, but that's not wrong or bad. It's just a fact for their family.
Yeah. And then another good example is some families don't tire as easily of chicken or red beans and rice as I do. Sometimes I need to throw red meat in there a little more often. That's going to be more pricey than, say, chicken. And those are things to take into consideration with your budget too. There's no real good answer for a price point, but it is good to look at and see where you can conserve, see what's worth spending on, like the convenience foods that help.
I do love myself some instant mashed potatoes. It's just, you know, you could work really hard at it, and people wouldn't notice.
Right?
All right. This needs a setup for just like a minute or so to.
So you can put that on my plate. I wouldn't know.
We're gonna cover it. All right. I would like y'all to know that it has been about 13 minutes, and Leah and I have made a full